And there came a time known as the third millennium, a time when the people of the earth were ravaged by disease, pestilence, and poisons, a time when the horsemen of the apocalypse ran the multinational corporations, a time when America's citizens were waking up to a future of no money and no jobs, a time when a special man came forward, a man that your American taskmasters did not want you to see or hear, a man whom they took prisoner and hid away, a man whose name is YahwehBenYahweh. For telling people the truth, YahwehBenYahweh was taken prisoner by the minions of darkness. For giving people hope, YahwehBenYahweh was led away to Golgotha. This is the continuing story of the past and of the future, about good and about evil, about your life and what it will become. A story that tells why the so-called black man of America had to suffer for over 400 years. A story of what will happen to the so-called black man if he returns to the laws, statutes, judgments, and commandments of God, Yahweh. Olam shall Yahweh. The universe of Yahweh. Brought to you by the nation of Yahweh. Working for you and your future.
Good or evil, life or death. This is your choice in this, the year 6004, the year of judgment. Shalom and welcome to the universe of Yahweh. My name is Josiah Israel, and I am your host. For over 7 years now, we have been discussing some of the things the Bible said would occur in the day of judgment. We warned you that the weather was going to change, and that the powerful forces of nature were going to bring terrible destruction upon America and the world, and that it was going to get worse and worse and worse, and it has. We alerted you that violence in the public schools was going to increase, and it has. We showed you in the scriptures that forewarned of wickedness in high places, and we are witnessing today gross misconduct and serious crimes being committed by some of our highest elected officials. What lies ahead for America and the world is nothing less than the proliferation of deadly diseases and plagues as foretold in the Bible. But there is hope. The Bible tells us that at the end, the Messiah would be revealed, and at that time, he would save the righteous from this impending destruction. That one, the Messiah, is YahwehBenYahweh. So we invite you to join us in the universe of Yahweh, featuring the commandments of Yahweh and the Messiah revealed. First, the commandments of Yahweh.
For 6,000 years, we have been suffering at the hands of rulers who transgress the laws of Yahweh and teach all people throughout the earth to transgress the laws of Yahweh. In order to have peace, love, and harmony upon the earth, we must return to keeping the commandments, judgments, laws, and statutes of Yahweh. All of us have been taught that the commandments, judgments, laws, and statutes in the Old Testament Bible do not count today. In this series, we will show you that the commandments, judgments, laws, and statutes in the Old Testament Bible do count, and that if we govern our lives according to these commandments, judgments, laws, and statutes of God Yahweh, then we will have peace and goodwill upon the earth forever. We invite you to study along with us. However, in order to do so, you must have the following tools: a King James Version of the Bible, several dictionaries, the New Strong's Exhaustive Concordance, a set of encyclopedias, Hebrew and Greek lexicons, a thesaurus, and a synonym finder.
Shalom. My name is Sarah Abigail Yisrael. We are discussing the commandments of Yahweh. Many people have been taught that the first commandments ever given to man were given to Moses. The truth of the matter is, the first two commandments ever given to man were given to Adam in the Garden of Eden, which were to dress it and to keep it. We are still discussing the word keep. In Hebrew, the word keep is shamar, and one of its meanings is to be on the lookout for, or to be expectant of, the future birth of a child. We have been revealing some of the things the Bible said would happen to this one child, the Messiah, YahwehBenYahweh, that would clearly identify him as the one promised to come to deliver or restore us, the lost sheep of the house of Israel, the so-called black man of America, who are descendants of slaves to the promised land. Before we begin our discussion today, let us review some of the key issues we have discussed to set the stage for our show. Revelation chapter 12, verse 9 says that Satan and his angels were cast out into the earth and have deceived the whole world. In Job chapter 1, verse 7, Yahweh asked Satan, "Whence comest thou?" And Satan himself answered and said, "From going to and fro, and from walking up and down in the earth." We told you that the people who have been going to and fro and walking up and down in the earth using the sign of the cross are called Jesuits today. We validated that Jesuits are members of the Society of Jesus, who have been commissioned by the Pope, the supreme head of the Christian Church, to deceive the whole world with a crafty plan of action to spread the beliefs, doctrines, and rituals of the Christian Church. While maneuvering in a secret atmosphere of duplicity, they give the impression that they come to do good and to speak the truth, but irrefutable facts prove that their mission is to do evil and to speak lies. Given the fact that the letter J is only 371 years old, no one could possibly have walked the earth 2,000 years ago with the name Jesus. However, Jesuit scholars have purposely written stories about a false, made-up character called Jesus in the past tense to make the people believe that he came 2,000 years ago. With the permission of the Pope, Jesuits have been going to and fro and walking up and down in the earth, depicting the birth, crucifixion, persecution, death, and resurrection of Jesus as events that happened in the past, when the facts prove beyond a reasonable doubt that these events never happened. These are prophecies that are being fulfilled today in YahwehBenYahweh, the true Messiah, prophesied to come in the Old Testament. Knowing that the New Testament was never fulfilled by anyone called Jesus, and understanding that we are witnessing prophecy being fulfilled today, we shall begin to decode the prophecy that the prophets said would happen to the true Messiah, YahwehBenYahweh, in Matthew chapter 27, verses 62 and 64, and its related scriptures. Now, before we begin to decode these verses, let us give you a recap of Show 249. In Show 249, we analyzed Matthew chapter 27, verses 62 and 64 from a literal perspective. And we pointed out the fact that the chief priests and Pharisees came together unto Pilate, a judge. The word together, we told you, suggests that they shared the same common concerns about what they wanted Pilate to do to YahwehBenYahweh. They wanted Pilate to command or make sure that YahwehBenYahweh remained in the tomb, which symbolizes prison, until the third day, meaning until YahwehBenYahweh served the maximum time of his 18-year prison sentence. We validated that the word command is synonymous to mandamus. The definitions of mandamus and writ laid the foundation for our next revelation. These two words revealed that the issue was a legal matter, one that involved a prisoner, a judge, lawyers, and parole commission authorities. To prove that this is a prophecy being fulfilled today in the Messiah, YahwehBenYahweh, let us begin to decode Matthew chapter 27, verse 64, which reads in part, "Command therefore that the sepulchre be made sure until the third day." To get an understanding of what this scripture means, we must do a direct examination of all its intricate parts. So first, command therefore. According to the Oxford Study Dictionary, copyright 1991, on page 134, command is also defined as a statement given with authority that some action must be performed. Stated in the Synonym Finder by J.I. Rodale, copyright 1979, on page 1161, statement is equivalent to proclamation. On page 939, proclamation means the same as ruling. As referenced in Black's Law Dictionary, abridged 7th edition, copyright 2000, on page 1071, ruling is described as the outcome of a court's decision on some point of law. So, based upon these facts, we can conclude that the legal matter involved the outcome of a superior court judge's decision on some point of law requiring that some action must be performed by the Messiah, YahwehBenYahweh. In the Synonym Finder by J.I. Rodale, the second word, therefore, on page 1227 is synonymous to as a result. Referenced in Webster's New Collegiate Dictionary, copyright 1959, on page 723, result is defined as something obtained by calculation. Calculation is synonymous to computation. On page 170, computation means a system of reckoning. And on page 706, reckon, the root of reckoning, is defined as to count. Question: what did YahwehBenYahweh obtain as a result of using a system of counting while in prison? Before we answer this question about the relevance of a system of counting, let us first give you a little background information concerning the incarceration of YahwehBenYahweh. YahwehBenYahweh received an 18-year prison term under the Federal Bureau of Prisons' old law. The old law states that he had to serve 2/3 of his sentence behind bars, provided that he did not commit any infractions that would cause him to stay longer. Although the Federal Bureau of Prison guidelines state that only persons serving a 25-year sentence or more should be housed at Lewisburg Penitentiary, this is where the United States Justice Department's high-ranking officials sent YahwehBenYahweh, who was only sentenced to 18 years. Lewisburg Penitentiary is located in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, which is over 1,200 miles from his disciples in Miami, Florida. Then after serving 6 years in Lewisburg without incident, YahwehBenYahweh was transferred to Raybrook Correctional Institute in Raybrook, New York, which is even farther away, in fact, 1,500 miles away. The purpose for sending YahwehBenYahweh out of the Southern District to the Northeast District was to ensure that he would have little or no contact with his disciples. So back to our question. What did YahwehBenYahweh obtain as a result of using a system of counting while in prison? The answer is, while in these institutions, YahwehBenYahweh earned statutory and extra good time credits, which were based upon the Federal Bureau of Prisons' systematic counting system. After serving 2/3 of his 18-year sentence in prison with no infractions, on September 25, 2001, YahwehBenYahweh received a mandatory release from prison and returned to Miami to serve the remaining third of his prison sentence on parole. Now, since all these matters were handled properly and legally according to the United States Justice Department and Federal Bureau of Prisons guidelines, then why were the chief priests and Pharisees still not satisfied with the mandatory release of YahwehBenYahweh? Why did the chief priests and Pharisees come together to Pilate, a superior court judge, begging him to make a decision that some action be performed by YahwehBenYahweh that would make his sepulcher sure until the third day, meaning until he served the last third of his 18-year prison sentence? The documented facts will show beyond a reasonable doubt that it was for the very same purpose that he was sent to prisons far away from his district. So he, YahwehBenYahweh, could have absolutely no contact with his disciples. The facts to prove our conclusion are hidden in the word sepulcher. So next week, we will provide compelling testimony to prove our points of view beyond a reasonable doubt as we continue to decode Matthew chapter 27, verse 64, and resume our course of singling out the family of Adam from the perspective of the word watch and its relationship to keep. I bear witness to you today that the Messiah, YahwehBenYahweh, is here.
I bear witness to you today that the Mahdi is here.
I bear witness to you today that Shiloh is here. I bear witness to you today that the great light is here.
I bear witness to you today that the Grand Master of the Celestial Lodge, Architect of the universe, is here.
I bear witness to you today that the Enlightened One is here.
I bear witness to you today that the one all religions has been speaking of for almost 6,000 years is here.
Thank you for listening, and join us next week as we continue our discussion of the commandments of Yahweh.
is worthy? Who is worthy to open the book? Who is worthy to open the book and loose the seals thereof?
And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle. His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire, and his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. At the end of time of evil rule, the Anointed One, the Messiah, shall appear. In 1979, YahwehBenYahweh came to Miami and became the spiritual leader and founder of the Nation of Yahweh. Although he took a vow of poverty, in 7 years he guided the nation to amass a $250 million empire. Under his direction, the Nation of Yahweh has grown to encompass disciples, followers, and supporters in over 1,300 cities within the U.S. and 16 foreign countries. YahwehBenYahweh is bringing about changes in the lives of individuals and is giving the world the keys to success in life, politically, economically, educationally, socially, and spiritually.
This word find will prepare, qualify, and make the so-called black man of America ready to rule the world in peace. This word will direct us on how to succeed in coming, going, and surviving, how to earn lasting wealth. This word find will lead us to the knowledge of how to take possession of New Jerusalem. We will learn how to prevail. We will learn how to stand as Judah and rule forever. This word find reveals how to be conscious of the secret meanings of scriptures, how to see the light hidden inside cryptic scriptures, how to get the picture through our heads. This word find teaches the so-called black man of America how to observe, discover, and identify esoteric scriptures, which are meant for only the select few who have special knowledge. The scholastic research of find, as used in Luke chapter 2, verses 10 through 12, reveals to us how to understand, decipher, and receive the hidden truths of the Bible. This word find reveals how to discern the babe, how to observe the babe. This word reveals how to scrutinize the babe, how to distinguish this babe from all others. Most importantly, the Greek word for find reveals how to recognize the babe. We learn how to keep our eyes peeled. This word find reveals how to comprehend the babe, how to be acquainted with the conditions which surround the babe. With the understanding of the word find, we will be able to conceive the true image of the babe. In addition, the word find reveals how to submit to the babe. We will even learn how to investigate and see what is really there in regard to the babe. We will know what the babe is all about in the word find.
Remember that this is the morning of the 3rd day, and I shall rise again. I am the resurrection. All of prophecy tells you that I shall rise again. It's all about that. Luke chapter 2, verse 34. No doubt about it. Again, I love you forever, bless you forever. I remind you once again, my associates are children of the light. That just brings laughter to my heart, to my soul, to realize that at last I have those of you that love peace. And I only want to be in the presence of those of you that love peace. I love you forever. Shalom Aleichem.
The diligent research of the word find reveals to the so-called black man of America how to prevail, how to succeed in coming, going, and surviving, as well as how to earn lasting wealth. This word find will make the so-called black man of America ready to rule the world in peace forever. Most importantly, this word find teaches us how to be able to recognize the babe wrapped in swaddling clothes. The babe, as spoken of in Luke chapter 2, verses 10 through 12, is the Messiah, YahwehBenYahweh. Thank you for joining us in the universe of Yahweh. And now, we'd like to invite all of you to pray with us as we turn to the east with outstretched hands and say a prayer to our Heavenly Father, Yahweh, the Lord's Prayer in Hebrew. Come, let us pray. Tefillah, Avenu Shabbat Shemayim, Yikardesh Shemeaka, Tavo Malkuteaka, Yase Razonka, Kiva Shemayim Keng Ba'aretz, Et Lekum Kukenu, Tain La Nu Hayom, Uslak La Nu, Al Katienu, Ki Moshe Solkim, Gamanaknu, La Koteom Lanu, Veal Tefienu, Lade Nisayom, Kim Kal Senu, Min Hara, Kilaka, Hamamlaha, Veha Givera, Veha Tiferet, Leolame, Olamin Sila. We thank thee, O Yahweh, O living and eternal King, who has so mercifully restored our souls within us. Selah. Praise Yahweh, and always remember that the Father Yahweh and His Son YahwehBenYahweh love you, and your host loves you too. Shalom Aleichem!
To order the companion book to the series, The Messiah Revealed, call 1-800-967-PEACE. That's 1-800-967-7337. And when you call, ask about the special discount on the Royal Priesthood. Videos of this program are available. When ordering, please refer to the program number on the screen.
You can now access the divine mind of YahwehBenYahweh on the internet at the address on the screen.